Welcome to episode 85 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies plus tips, apps, and gear. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar's here. How you doing, Warren?
I am here. I am good. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Another great episode. Lots to talk about. I found some good topics. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. I thought talking about BackUp was a good choice this week, and I haven't really spent a lot of time on that. So I think you and I will have some good discussion relating to BackUp, because people seem to forget how important BackUp is in backing up your iPhone, your iPad. We will jump into that, and as well as the news of the day, and we're lots of some tips and apps, and the same old stuff you guys love when you listen to this show. So let's go ahead and just dive right in and talk about what's going on here. First story that caught my eye is 9 to 5 Mac. It was actually a story. It was yesterday. When will Apple release iOS 13.4 to the public? I was kind of interested to see, well, why would you have an article like this when the beta version so we talked about it last week, of course. Why? Yeah. They'll be asking this question already, but of course it's going to be out in a few months. But read through this article, and they said evidence shows that it potentially could be all released, the iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, Watch OS, tvOS will all get released sometime to the public in March. I don't know if you read this and had any comments on this?
Yeah, no, I did. And they kind of compare it to a major release in iOS 12.2, which was kind of in a similar March period. And they call it a major release. I don't see exactly why that would be that much different than the last release.
Right.
There's the big change, obviously, is the unified apps. That's going to be the big one.
Right. Yeah, we talked about that too last week, and so this kind of was a derivative of what we chatted about last week. But it's just, it's usually the betas will, they play around them for a few months, and then they decide, okay, I think we're ready to roll. And usually, I think most ones, the last beta, what would they go through? About 6, I believe, 5, 6, before they finally released it. So
and as I said, there's not a lot that's
not really
waiting for it. Should be impatient about it. There's I think the public beta dropped for it yesterday or day before Tuesday.
As we record this,
public beta came out 2 days ago, so people who are hot to test it can test it on that. But for the most part, this is not a huge, there's not a lot of FOMO as a beta user, I could tell you, on this level to really care that much about it.
Well, I think everybody wants the mail apps icons back, as I started realizing it now, as I had been moving email, because I file emails into a folder every time I get one, in a certain email, and I just come to realize, this is kind of stupid. The way they do this, I have to click the reply button, and then there's the move button right there. Now they have the flag file and the delete back under the toolbar like it should have been.
Yeah, but the muscle. Trust me, when you guys start getting this, or when the public gets it, the muscle memory is going to be terrible. Because I'm just right now I'm just flagging all my spam. I really still am after like a week and a half. So like I'll think I'm deleting something, and then I'll log in on my Mac, and I'll see in my mail app all the things that are flagged. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I have to follow up the Prince of Siberia. I guess I have to follow up with the penis pills. I got to follow.
That's right.
I got to follow up with all this. With Apple locking my account, so I got to follow.
You got to follow up on that stuff.
I got to follow up. So it's going to take some time. So
the only thing, like you said, muscle memory. You get used to it, and then it changes.
Yeah, the only thing I just don't want them to change it back at this point, because at this point I'm kind of I'm used to it. So for the most part.
So let's go ahead and move on. Next story was actually on the Mac Observer. Our friend Andrew Orr wrote this. Apple Card now supports OFX to export transactions. Finally, so last month they gave us the ability through Apple Cards you can do it the CSV format. Now you can export it into the Open Financial Exchange format, which is financial apps like Mint support and probably Quicken as well. So the way you do this is you go into go on the iPhone, go into your Wallet app, tap on the Apple Card, then you tap the card balance, and then tap on monthly statement. Then you can tap export transactions. Then finally, you can open it up in that OFX file. But it still looks like you can only do 1 month at a time, which is kind of silly because some people like to do a whole year. So I guess that's going to be kind of a pain until that gets in place. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I read when they could do the CSV. I don't have any need to do it, so I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, you don't use the card very much.
Well, I do here and there, so I bought a couple of my when they had the 3%.
That's true. That's true.
So I did that, but generally I've been pretty good. Like as soon as I do it, I'll pay off the bill after I get my Apple Cash back, which is what I use it for more or less. So
yeah,
but that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure Quicken. Let me check that real fast, but I'm sure Quicken will do that too.
I believe that OFX file is standard for most of the financial applications, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, OFX download into Quicken Deluxe. There's an article on how to do it to import data into Quicken. So
there you go. So if you are one of those guys and gals who like to keep up on your expenses and want to import it into your favorite financial software, you can now do it with your Apple Card. So let's move on. This article is on The Verge. How Samsung's Galaxy S20 compares with the iPhone 11. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time analyzing all this stuff because honestly, it's Android. And I don't know how much time you've spent on it, but I do see they got a lot of cameras on this new S20, and they said they're saying here is it's got some good photos, and they compared it, but the prices, holy cow, the S20 is just off the charts. It's just some crazy pricing.
Yep.
Did you take a look at any of the lenses? I mean, of course, they also include the Z Fold, which this article doesn't even talk about, but
right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I looked at it. I mean, a couple things that I don't think it's in this article, but I read somewhere else is
That's fine.
It does 8K video.
Yeah, it does 8K video. I saw that.
So what they were saying is, I forgot the actual number, but it was like 1 minute of 8K video takes up almost 500 megabytes. It's crazy.
Jesus.
So like people were saying, you could fill up. It would take like an hour to fill up a maxed out phone plus the memory card in there, the SD card. So, but that's cool, I guess, if you have an 8K TV, if you want to shoot 8K video. Yeah. And then the other interesting thing was the 5G support, which is obviously kind of you got the two camps. You got the people who say it doesn't, we're not there yet. It's not a big deal. iPhones don't have it. But, then there's me who thinks, it's not here yet. But for people who want to keep their phones for a couple of years, they're gonna be in an issue. They'll be in a position where it's either 5G or new phone. So, this has it, and what they're saying is basically not all of the line has the ultra wide one.
The ultra, I think they call it.
Yeah,
1399.
They all have the ultra. Yeah. So there's two 5Gs, just real fast. There's one that's slower but covers more area, and then there's one that's super fast that covers less area.
Wave band.
Exactly.
I mean, look at the cameras. Oh my God! Gosh, the 108 megapixel on the S20 Ultra, and then you have the standard 12 megapixel on the other two models. You know what? The iPhone takes a awfully gosh darn good photo for what I get from my Macs. And 108 megapixel. Who needs that?
There used to be a thing that where people start saying that the amount of megapixel didn't really matter so much, as much as some of the other factors. But yeah, no, it takes good pictures. I mean, I'm not really interested at all in these
No.
S20s. The flip phone, I would like to play with just
Yeah,
to
the
see
Z
what it
Fold, yeah.
does. Yeah, so I mean, I would love to
I want to see a
see what
break.
it does.
Like the other one
Yeah,
did.
the other one did.
Or
I
didn't even
think
make it
it's
to
still a little
market.
better. Yeah, there's supposedly it's got a better glass screen, but there's two of them came out at the same time, or at least they will come out. The Motorola one and the Samsung one. So, it'd be interesting to see what it does. But I mean, if anything, it's good to get people excited about the foldable phones. So then Apple will come along and do it right.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some point. So there you go.
And our next article was at 9 to 5 Mac, and this was last week. Actually, I caught this new Apple TV 4K hardware appears closer to be launching based on the tvOS 13.4 beta code. So we've got 13.4 in beta right now, as we talked about previously. But apparently, there's going to be a new Apple TV released that it says in here. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much. I mean, there's already a 4K. So I wasn't really kind of sure what this what really is the differences. Did you see anything with this?
No, same as you. I saw the article. I heard about it when the beta was first released. I heard some other podcasters speculating on what it could be, whether it's going to be just like a stick device or if it's going to be.
Oh yeah, I guess could not be. It won't be like the same style, maybe.
Maybe because if anything, I think the only thing that people really want from Apple TV at this point is to have it cheaper because
it's kind of pricey, especially when you can get a Roku and a
exactly.
One of those Amazon Fire Stick for so much cheaper.
Fire Stick for like $40. So I mean, I don't know about you, but my Apple TV is basically Netflix, Amazon, and Apple TV Plus. So
right.
I don't do games on it. I mean, I don't look at my pictures on it. I don't play music on it. So, if they're coming out with another one, what would I want? I don't know. Maybe, I talked about this before. It could become a real gaming system if they do it right, but they haven't done it right, and they have so many good opportunities to make it a fun center of a game console for families because everybody has iPads and iPhones and you can use the controllers. You could do you could do like game nights on it. You could do people could play like Wheel of Fortune online with each other. I mean, there's a lot of cool things you could do that they don't do. And even just make really better games for it where, kind of like a Nintendo Switch where you could play on your iPhone and then, kind of like control it that way onto the TV. But they're just not even doing it right. And even the Apple Arcade, I don't think that many people are playing it. You can on the Apple TV, but I don't even think that many people are, to be honest with you. I think, they're just playing on their iPads or iPhones.
Yeah. So the next story we're going to talk about is Sprint and T-Mobile has now been finally approved, which I think is a good thing. This is an Apple Insider. We link to this article. This was back on the February 11th that the judge approved. The U.S. District Judge Judge Victor Marrero has approved the merger of all of the cell carriers to T-Mobile and Sprint. But he said the merger still has to be approved by the California Public Utilities Commission, but this announcement was seen as the last major hurdle for the $26.5 billion deal. Because a lot of there was 13 states, including my home state of Illinois, the attorney generals were arguing that it would result in lesser competition. I can't see that. They were already talking about Dish Network potentially becoming a fourth carrier at some point that they would have, because they're going to sell off. They're going to sell off some of their properties, and it's going to give AT&T and Verizon a run for their money. Honestly, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there was news stories when that happened, and I just remember turning to like ABC and basically it said, that showed it showed all the major carriers, and then they kind of took T-Mobile and split them merged into one. And it's like, oh no, we're only left with three major carriers: Verizon,
oh no,
Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. So people kind of panic over that, but
there'll be a fourth one. I think so. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and you also have the smaller carriers that kind of piggyback off. Such as what Boost and even Xfinity has a mobile service now too.
Right. Yeah, Xfinity does Verizon. Mint Mobile, which I have an account with them, is T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, right? And then
Mint, you see a lot of podcasters have actually advertised Mint, so Mint's actually a good service.
Right.
I think I paid for a full year. I paid $115, and I get 8 gigs of data and unlimited phone and text, which is crazy.
So you're still having a competition with those kind of other services too.
True.
It's just a major. It's just if you go with Mint, then T-Mobile's getting a cut. Obviously, of some of it because they're using the towers for it. So
right.
So we'll see. If anything, it's good for T-Mobile customers. It's definitely good for Sprint customers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it will give you more, hopefully, more service in more places.
So there was a addendum to that. I just saw this in Fortune magazine that the German company of T-Mobile, who of course Deutsche Telekom is who their parent is likely going to leverage to negotiate a lower price because it had been sitting. This took over 2 years, so they may want to lower the price now since inflation, everything has dropped in price. So that's just kind of that's chatter too. So who knows? This could keep going on longer.
Yeah.
So should be interesting.
John Legere is stepping down, right?
Yeah, John Legere is stepping down, which I'm sad about. Actually, he's a trip.
Yeah, he's funny.
I follow him on Instagram and Twitter, and he just is a fun guy. He really got the. I mean, he's kind of what turned me on to T-Mobile, just watching what he did and how he really just got things exciting with T-Mobile. And the plan I have is just amazing. I just can't complain. I mean. And I've talked about it before. Overseas travel, didn't pay a dime other than just getting the extra plan, so I could have faster speeds for data and
my wife
unlimited everything. I mean,
my wife just went to London for a trip.
There you go.
For work, and
cost her nothing.
She's like, "What do I need? What do we need to do with the phone?" I'm like, "No, just go."
Nothing.
She's like, "You're kidding me." It's just like,
nope.
Yeah, no, just go.
Just use as much data as you so choose. The only thing is, it is slow. You have to pay. If you want to have 4G or higher LTE, it's good. You have to pay $15 for the month.
But
which I did when we went to Italy last year.
With our plan, I think we dropped down to 3, and then if there's a plan underneath our plan, which drops you down to 2. Yeah. But whatever, it's still Verizon. We had Verizon before, and you could buy. It's so expensive, man.
Well, I know Verizon's ridiculous. I don't understand how people are happy with Verizon.
And the international plan was just insane. It was like 15 megs. You got like 15 megs of data for like something like $20.
Use that up in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like gotta check my mail. Gotta turn off the radio. No, here comes another $10.
Believe me, I've been there many times. Yep. AT&T was the worst with that too. So they're both the same with that. It comes to that crazy. Well, you know what it is? T-Mobile's international company. German Deutsche Telekom, and they have a lot of position in Europe and across the world. So why not? It doesn't cost them as much because they're using their network. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. When I lived in London, we had T-Mobile was there. Yeah, was there.
Next story, 9 to 5 Mac. Apple launches purchase button for AR quick look feature with Home Depot, Wayfair. Both Home Depot and Wayfair is on board. This is really where we're coming into with AR. The quick look feature, letting the retailers to be able to sell their products right from within the AR experience, and it's rolling out. Going to be able to opportunity to be able to expand on a photo of a particular product that they're trying to sell and be able to zoom onto it. AR is here, man. In the article, it says Home Depot, 1-800-Flowers, Wayfair, Bang & Olufsen, and many more are starting to roll out with their quick look integrations. What do you think?
Yeah, that article came out today, and I it took me a while to try to understand what they were talking about. But I guess what it is if you're in your house and you use AR and you point
Right.
to you're in the app and you're in Wayfair, could put a table in your
Right.
house using
Mm-hmm.
AR, and then if you want to buy it, you just click on say buy it. So I'm guessing that's what they're doing.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. Because IKEA actually has been doing that for a while with their catalog too, where you can open up their catalog, look for, because IKEA's got all kinds of furniture, tables, chairs, wherever, and you can actually do a virtual where it puts the chairs and tables in your room, in your room, and lets you virtually see what it looks like before you buy it.
Right, but I guess now with this, you could actually click on the table in the picture and say "buy now" or something like that, which is
That too.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool.
So more and more AR keeps coming on here, and then finally, and this is a Mac Rumors caught my eye here today. The article actually came out today as well. Apple's HomePod placed 6th in global speaker market in the Q4 in 2019. I looked at this list of some of the speakers that it's way behind on. I haven't even heard of them before. Of course, Amazon and Google were number 1, number 2. No surprise there. But have you heard of any of these other companies in here? Baidu, Alibaba. Okay, heard of them.
Well, yeah, I didn't know they have a smart speaker. I guess
I didn't either.
Yeah. So Baidu sounds Indian to me. Alibaba.
Yeah. Alibaba is overseas, of course, too.
Yeah. So that's
Exumi.
Yeah, Exumi. So yeah, no, it's not good for Apple with 2.6% of.
Yeah. Well, I think it was priced a little high. I mean, especially you got Amazon who's selling Amazon Echoes, especially you got the Echo Dot for $30, and so does Google with the Google Mini. They're getting a lot of these devices in people's hands. They don't have to spend a ton of money to do it, and start off with it. A lot of times they're giving away for free the Dots and the Minis. I got the free one. In fact, I had already bought my Pixel 2 XL, and I saw online they had an opportunity to get a free one. I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that, because I'd already got it like a really cheap one when I first got the phone. But now I got 2 of them, and the one they just sent me is still sitting in the box, so I haven't even opened it yet. But I mean, I've already got the HomePod. I've already got the Echo sitting in my house. And I actually have a Google Hub behind me here that you can, I don't know if you can see it. And I actually like this Google Hub. It's got this nice little small screen. You can say you Google and tell it to play things. Like I want to watch a video, I can tell open YouTube and play whatever. And it does it, and it's great. And you can also, of course, stream it from your iPhone if you have something in YouTube or something else, right to it through through Chromecast type technology. So, I think Apple's going to have some challenges really as they keep going with, but.
Like I look at people like my wife who really doesn't, they don't care that much about the sound,
right?
As long as it doesn't sound horrible. And if it answers the questions, and
no, absolutely,
I have in my other room I have 2 HomePods. I got 2 Echoes.
2 pods right next to me here.
And then I have a Google. I got the Google Mini. So, sometimes I'll be playing music on one of them, and my wife will come in the room and start saying, "Hey S, turn off the music." Nothing happens. Right. Hey G, turn off the music. Nothing happens.
You can't say "Hey G." You have to say "Okay G."
Whatever. So she'll come in and try she'll try to ask 500 assistants to stop the music before I do it. But I mean, again, it's you gravitate, and she's, I'll see her pick up her phone a couple times and then try to ask Siri these questions that I'm like, there's no way that Siri's going to answer that question. There's just no way. So,
no. I have to say, maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I will say it anyway. Us males always like have a little bit of fart humor, mm-hmm. And then you ask Siri and no comment. When you ask Alexa, plenty of comments. So we've got some humor in the teams that program these devices. Same thing with the Google devices too. So they do have fun with these devices too. So I know I probably shouldn't have admitted that I even do that, even ask them, or her, I should say. But
that was a lot of fun. We drive.
That's way fun. Yeah.
We drive the dog crazy by making barking noises.
Well, you know what it is? I like to put the two devices next to each other and let them have a battle because they'll start talking to each other.
Yeah. Or sometimes you'll just be in a room and one of them, and you don't know who it is, but one of them is saying, it's like, okay, I'll get right on that. And then you're like, who said that? Which one of your speakers are talking? And B, what are you talking about? So it's a mess.
It is. So, all right, that's the news for this week. Let's dive right into our topic. This week I thought talking about backing up your iOS device. And I think a lot of people get confused on how it works, what do you do, and what there's all about. So we're going to talk about actually three, and you can actually add anything into this you'd like, Warren. Three I came up with, of course, number one is iCloud. If you're not using iCloud, you're crazy. It's the easiest way to make sure your device is backed up. Backing up on your Mac, which the old days was in iTunes. Now it's through Finder. And people are all thrown off by that now with Catalina, macOS 10.15 Catalina, because they, of course, separated all the apps. Music, podcasts, and TV are all separate apps now. And now the backup was moved into the Finder. So you'll see the device show up as a device, in your Finder. You click it, and then you'll have all the same information that you had in iTunes that's in the Finder now. The third thing is a third-party app that I'm been very impressed with, and I know you have too, is iMazing. iMazing.com, it's their website. Very powerful app that does a lot of great things beyond just backups. You have full-out access to your messages and to your music, and you actually can get to your device and actually copy these things off of your device. Compared to the other two, you can't do that.
Oh yeah.
It's a flat because
you get really crazy. You go into file. There's actually a file.
File system. You can do transfers. It's crazy. And for $29, I think this utility is just absolutely incredible. Yep. Your phone calls. Any of your phone, if your phone calls that are listed, you can get that a copy of it. Of course, we already know. All your messages, your iMessage, you can get copies of those. How do you think all these court shows? It cracks me up. I shouldn't admit this either. Watching court shows, but you see them all the time when they have these printouts of all of their messages to prove that they did something, and it's always you always see most of the time it's iPhone, and you see the blue bubbles and the green bubbles, and but that's how they do it. In most cases, they may not be tech savvy enough they're able to do it, but at least there's opportunities of being able to print messages because you can't get to them that easily through iMazing. Right. So let's start. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So let's start with iCloud. Like I said, this is the easiest, safest way to do it. I highly recommend, and I'm sure you do, to buy at least the 20 gig plan. Is it 20 gig we still have now, or 50 gig?
I think it's 50.
Is it 50 now? Okay. Yeah. And it's not that expensive, guys. It's 99 cents a month, so it costs you what? $12 a year to have 50 gigs of storage, and at least if it's just for yourself, and that should be more than sufficient to back up all your devices, be it your iPhone, your iPad, or even your Mac for that matter. But you won't be backing up much with your Mac. The iOS devices are more what you're backing up, but it backs everything up. Backing up all your settings. It remembers where all your apps are. All your photos will be backed up. The messages. So it's just simple and it works. You just go in there and you see, okay, here's the backup, and it gives you a nice visual view of where what's being backed up. And the way you can get to it is if you go into settings, then you go into your account, your Apple ID, which will be at the very top, and then tap that. You can go into iCloud. And then what it'll do is it'll show a list of all the apps that use iCloud, and you can turn them on or off. So if there's an app that you may not particularly use, you can always turn it off. And like Game Center, I don't play Game Center at all. Why do I need to back that up? I can turn that off if I so choose. course, the keychain is also backed up through iCloud, and then you have the choice of going into the iCloud backup in itself. Once you choose that, it actually tells you the last time the backup ran. In my case, this ran 12:47 a.m. This morning, so I know I have a good solid backup. And then you just kind of scroll through and check all the rest of the apps. And if you choose you don't want any of these apps to back up, just turn them off. It'll definitely save you space. At the very top there, it actually shows the storage of how much storage you've used, and you can tap manage storage there. And what it does is brings you into a little bar graph and shows you what's making up all of the backups, including photos, docs, others. And then, of course, you can have a family plan, which I recommend that too, where you have an iCloud account and it's shared among all of your family. So that in that case, you might want to consider more storage, and you can go all the way up to 2 terabytes if you want. It'll probably see $15 a month. But it might be peace of mind to have everything backed up and tell you who's using what and why. I'm looking at it right now, and I got almost 79 gigabytes of photos. That's probably nothing compared to some people when it comes to that.
Yeah,
so
I'm not too far away from that. I think about 100 something. But
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, with the iCloud. So just with the backup, it does back up automatically when it's on plugged in and on Wi-Fi. I believe is the default. It will do that
right
once in a while. You can back it up manually by hitting a backup now. One other thing with the backup in the iCloud is it's very Apple Watch friendly. If you do the backup through iCloud, it's encrypted in a sense where you'll get your history, your health history back, and your fitness activity back, which is
right.
If you do it in some of the other ways, you may or may not get it back, and we'll get to that too. But
No, go ahead. So tell us about that.
Yes. Well, do you want to move on to the next one?
No, go ahead. Keep going with iCloud.
In the iCloud. So if it will back up the Apple Watch data as long as well with everything else. So if you do a restore to a new phone, or if you restore the phone, you'll see a watch will kind of erase itself and then restore it back to what it was. So you should get everything back that way. It's all encrypted and it's pretty easy. And then the other thing with the family plan or more storage, on your Mac, you mentioned it. But if you turn on iCloud Drive, your documents and your desktop will get backed up in that storage area too.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even realize that that's on. And sometimes like their drive will die and or something happens and they think they lost everything. And all of a sudden their documents come back and they're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, magic. It's just magic.
With you doing tech support with a lot of people, I'm sure you've had a lot of experience talking about this. So, but that's what's great about it too, with being able to back up with your Mac too. So if you do a lot of pages, numbers, or keynote documents and presentations, you have access to them on your iPad or iPhone as well. So if you want to be able to view them, edit them or whatnot, that's what's great. They all sync together. So it's all in one place.
It really is the easiest way to do it. It
really is.
I mean, the pictures when you have the iCloud photos turned on, it's just so cool to have all your entire photo library on any device that's logged into the iCloud. And of course you could optimize storage if you don't have enough room on that particular device, but you have access to all your pictures, and it's just, you'll have your phone somewhere and you'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, oh, I was at this place, I can't remember. And you're like, wait a second, I know I was there. Let me look at my pictures, do searches, and there. It's powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very powerful.
So, I mean, we could continue on with iCloud and how much. That's why I put it at number one, because I think it's the number one way to back up. I think you're crazy not to do this. But you know what? I could say you could do 1, 2, or all 3 of these backup ways of backing up, because you never know. I mean, iCloud is definitely solid. I don't think you have to worry about it going anywhere anytime soon. So, but you never know. You might want to have a local backup of your device. And boy, before iCloud, I remember how much of a pain in the butt it was to deal with iTunes and trying to back up your iPhone every time. It's not fun. It isn't, because It just takes a lot of time. It's slow, but there are plenty of people out there. I mean, I've talked to people who are just no. I can't have anything on the cloud. I'm gonna back it up myself. I want to have my own local backup, and that's it. Okay, well, that's fair enough. So what you could do is, if you aren't running Catalina yet, you'll still be using iTunes. iTunes has the backup in there, but as I mentioned previous, you're backing up using Finder. So once you plug your iOS device in there, it's going to show up all the things that you have access to as far as what you want to back up and what you want to save and where you want to back it up, and then it puts all the backing up right onto. It could be in your external storage. You could save it with on an external storage, or if you want to put it on your Mac, you could do it that way. But that's the thing; that's where it's going to be stored. So there's a bit of a risk involved if maybe the hard drive may fail or there's no cloud backup for it, so you're kind of be out of luck. So, what's your thoughts on this way of backing up?
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's slow. Sometimes the cables aren't perfect.
That's another one. I think of that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of space too.
It does.
You'll, especially if you have a lot of a larger capacity phone, it will take some space up. And if your Mac doesn't have the space, it'll cause some issues for you. Just on that, what I tell people is in iTunes. So if you have iTunes and if you go to preferences and then I believe the tab is devices, you'll see a list of all your previous backups in that list. And if you see anything from a long time ago, there's a delete option. So you want to do that because you'll find that a lot of what's taking up room on your computer are those iOS backup files. And if you don't need them, you can get rid of them. In Catalina, it's in the sidebar, and instead of that, there's a Manage Backups button. You click on that, and it will tell you which backups are there. But I've seen like 30, 40, 50 gigs worth of like backups from like 2011, 12, 13, 14, and people calling me with space issues. I'm like, let me do this and go into iTunes and clean it out. So it's not, you need the room on the computer, you need patience, and then if it's your only method of backup, then you're still at the mercy of the computer being healthy. If there's a problem with the computer, if there's a problem with the drive, you're going to lose that backup. So certainly if you do that, make sure you have a time machine backup as well to at least get a copy of that. Also in iTunes, and we'll get to this with the next one, but
that's fine.
With iTunes and Catalina, there's no real way to move the backup to a different location. It's stuck in its own location. There are ways to do it, but it's not easy. So if you're doing that, you're going to take up room on your root drive. So I actually can't, on my MacBook Air, I can't back up my iPhone 11 Pro Max to it. I don't have the room. It won't take it. So
on your computer?
On my computer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you probably filled that sucker up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where you get into number 3, something like iMazing, which does give you the option to save a backup somewhere else, such as an external drive.
So let's talk a little bit about iMazing. And you see them advertised a lot on a lot of podcasts, and they're not advertising in here. So by no means are we being partial because they're advertisers as because they're not. But these guys are pretty cool. I'm very impressed with this product. A very simple way of being able to keeping your messages. Not only is it in iMessage, like if you're a big WhatsApp user, you can back that up. Much simpler to be able to transfer your music back and forth between all of your devices. No more iTunes syncs. You don't have to deal with that anymore because that's what iTunes used to do before. Easy access to your photos. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, go ahead. No, just the photos is saved by about a couple
once you go ahead, you go ahead and tell everybody about the photos.
Yeah, I mean it literally will. Where normal backup, you can't granularly pick photos out of it on a phone that's
Right.
having issues or whatever. You could copy photos to the phone. You could copy photos off the phone. I mean, it's just basically like a file manager for photos. And 90% of the things that people try to get back off of a phone or a backup are the photos. Mostly because that's the most important stuff that people use it for,
Right.
and it really comes in handy to be able to kind of grab that stuff off of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there is just endless amounts of choices of what you can do with like backing it up. As we said before, you have a very easy, quick transfer. If you have anything like in Safari, it backs that up. Any ringtones that you have, it'll back those up. Your calendar, any other data. iOS management is covered as well, and it just gives it advanced backup with that as well. So it really is just an amazing tool. And I said it. I think it's only like $30. It's not that expensive. Actually, it's gone. The price has gone up since I bought it. There's a single, then there's a universal. I would go with the universal because it's only like $5 more. So for $49.99, you can get 2 licenses for it's both Mac and PC, brother, for that matter. So for those people out there still using a PC, you can use this app on your PC as well, which is cool because they were a very Mac centric company, and I think for the most part they are. But they're smart enough to know that there are some Windows users out there still that everybody has an iOS device and they may not necessarily want a Mac. They can do it on Windows too.
And they're not the only one that does it. I mentioned before the show started, there's one called iOS, AnyTrans for iOS. And that comes with Setup. If you're a Setup user, you could, that's included with it. Very similar. Basically, you could manage the content. It's mostly the same things. I would have to check to see if iMazing has it too, but AnyTrans for iOS has something called iCloud Manager, which basically you click that, you actually log into your iCloud account, and you could manipulate the data between the phone and the iCloud account as well, which actually comes in pretty handy if you're trying to move data between a phone and and another, like a family member's iCloud account. So
you said AnyTrans, right?
It's called AnyTrans for iOS. Yes.
And that's made by, I think it's made by iMobi, isn't it?
Let's see about support at iMobi. That would be it. So www.imobi.com is there.
Yep, I got it. I'll put that in the show notes. This app is actually, if you are a Setup user, and if not, people are not familiar with Setup is a pretty awesome way to being able to get access to a lot of Mac applications and all in one place, and you pay a flat fee. I think it's really reasonable. It's like, how much do you pay? Like maybe $70 or $80 for a year.
I don't even think it's that much, but
might be not that man. It might be not that much. I can't remember. I think I did like a 2-year plan, so I can't remember what it did. But buying all these apps individually would cost you a lot more. So iMobi is the company, and AnyTrans is. And they do it with Android too, and Cloud Manager, and then they have app in the App Store as well. So
and it's basically and again, it's very similar to iMazing. It's the same kind of deal, but so Setup is $9.99 per month is what it is.
Yeah, that's a deal.
And
you can always find discounts too.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, it's and with iOS they do have a lot of iOS tie-in apps too. So just like AnyTrans, there's a few others that will also tie into an iOS device as well.
But have you used you've used both, and what do you think of the comparison of the two?
I use both. I bought iMazing with one of those bundles that came.
Yeah, me too.
I got AnyTrans with Setup.
I might have. Oh yes, I have Setup, so of course I have it.
Yes, so
I should download it and try that again because I haven't looked at that in a while.
Doing IT support, I've had people bring me my phones and say I need to get something off this, and that's the first thing I do is I try one of those 2 apps, and that's it's the only thing that lets you selectively extract things out of it. Whereas like an iTunes backup or a iCloud backup, there's no real way to,
Yeah.
or no way at all to extract a picture off. So like I'll get somebody that says, there's a picture somewhere and I want to get it off or put it on or whatever. You can't do that with an iCloud backup. Um, you use it a lot for that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
again, with the backup, so we'll do a backup too. And as I said before, you could, if you don't have the space on your computer, you could back up to a different location, which helps too. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's all good. It's all good stuff. I mean, it literally, like, just like we said with the file system, the other one does the same thing. It literally just goes into you'll see things in there that you may not want to play with,
Yeah.
because it will take you to some of the actual file system of an iOS device, which is
Right.
don't get confused with the Files app because that's different. But this is like you'll see like almost Unix type things in there that
Yeah.
you don't want to play around with too much with.
Yeah. No, you gotta tread lightly with this app, both AnyTrans and iMazing for that matter. Don't start monkeying around into the system because you may regret it.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because I wouldn't even tell you how to fix that.
So now we've got 4 ways of doing backups. And we definitely have all the links in the show notes. I put links to iMazing as well as AnyTrans. And then I also put in the show notes links to the support articles from Apple relating to backup in Finder and iCloud, or backing up to your computer, I guess we should say. Yeah, I think that was a good session. And people, like I said, make sure you're backing up your devices.
And people, yeah, that's the thing. Just whatever you do, back up somewhere. And a lot of people get confused about. A lot of people think that they have to go back to their computer to back up, and they're asking how to get cables, or their computer doesn't recognize it, or whatever. The iCloud is just easiest. I know it costs a little bit of money, but it's just it's seamless. Once it's set up, you really don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So let's move on here. I treated this as a topic, but actually, as I look at it, it's probably more of a news story, but that's okay. The Gmail app. Do you use the Gmail app for iOS at all?
No, I used to. I got rid of it.
I know there's a few people I've talked to as of late that they actually use the Gmail app as their primary app, and they have all their email accounts in there because you can add all your email accounts in one place, and then they kind of just abandoned using the native mail app. So it's been getting better. I've started to see a lot more improvement to it. This link's in the show notes, and this is under Matt Groomer's, that the Gmail for iOS is now gaining integration to Apple's Files app for adding attachments, which actually is a good idea. I like that. And they said they're going to start rolling out an update to the Gmail app for being able to do that. And these iOS devices will now be able to upload attachments right from the native Files app. Boy, I'm just telling you, more and more developers are starting to take advantage of the Files app on iOS, and this is becoming a computer more and more, don't you think?
It's getting there. I mean, there's still issues.
Yeah.
But somebody emailed me a PDF that I had to edit today, and I did it on my Mac, but then I forgot something. She emailed me back to add more to it. So here I am with my iPhone trying to do it. And I think I got it, but it wasn't as easy as it was on a computer, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. I'm not saying it's perfect. By no means, but yeah, maybe the Mac is not perfect either. Nor is the PC for that matter. No. But they said this. It says, as for the rollout timeline, because I just checked my app today and it's not there yet. Google is saying there's going to be an extended rollout, which may take longer, up to 2 weeks for the quote unquote feature visibility. Whether this means it's a server side change or requires an updated version of the app, it's unclear yet. So. Be on the lookout for it. It's definitely going to give you some opportunities being able to utilize the Files app integration with Gmail for iOS. The other thing I had in here too was Shazam. If everybody knows, we talked about Shazam before. This is a wonderful app. I mean, Shazam was one of the first apps I ever downloaded on an iOS device because it was so cool to be able to ask Shazam to listen to the music is playing, and it told you what song it was, and everybody was like so excited about that. Remember that? I'm sure you had the app when it first came out.
I did, and then Siri was able to do it even before they bought Shazam. It started to do it.
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, of course I'm better than Shazam. I could identify.
Name that tune in one note.
I'm pretty good. I need to be on that game show with Jamie Foxx. I guess he does beat Shazam.
Yeah, that's right. They do use Shazam to do it. So, exactly. So Apple. This is actually today. This was released. This article. So there was this announced earlier today. As we record this, that the song identification app Shazam has a new feature that allows users to search for content. The refreshed version of the app is going to have a new search button right on the home screen that can be used to look up any artist, song, or lyric. So to give you a little more flexibility of being able to find out more about your music, more so than ever. And it says, got a song in your mind? You can now tap the new search button in the home screen and search for any artist or song. Can't remember the name of it? Try searching with lyrics instead. So he even searches lyrics. So
it should let you whistle if you don't really know. Try to whistle or hum it.
Have you tried?
I haven't, but I wonder if it does it.
That would be interesting. We're not going to do that here. So
no, not to, I'll try it offline.
I guess there was another app. Remember Shazam Encore? I don't even remember what the heck that app did. It was a paid app at one point, and it was a counterpart to the Shazam app, but it removed the ads. But I don't know why Apple's still keeping that app functional. I guess basically it was just a non-ad version of it. So, but they're both free. So I don't know why. Yeah, why you would need both. So,
well, identify a song and sentence, discover artist lyrics, videos, and playlists for free.
That's what Encore does?
Yeah, I don't know how that's different than...
Yeah. Stick with Shazam. It's free. Download from the App Store. See where it goes, and we'll have some mighty fun things to talk about.
Well, we'll do the humming test during the week and see how it goes.
I also had in here that I don't know why it's not in the notes here, but I wanted to talk about the App Store a little bit. It's in here. The App Store. So I always thought the App Store was just kind of like a place that you just go look at your apps and move on, right? So I think Apple has really done a great job of making it robust, so it's easier to look through things, and it has a today. So each day that you open up the app, there's something going on for today. So like if you look at it as we record this, it shows some incredible Apple Arcade adventure games. So they're trying to sell you arcade, of course. And then you scroll down, meet the developer, secrets of their self-care app's success, game of the day, and it's got app of the day. And so it's interesting to see what is going to actually be in here each day. So I don't know if anybody takes a look at this, and you just scroll all the way through to the bottom until you get to, here's the basics. I'm not a vegetarian, but it says vegetarian and vegan favorites, and lots of apps there. A featured app, capture and edit with one finger. Have you called? I've forgotten how great this really is. Just getting through this.
Yeah, they were criticized at one point because it was hard to navigate, and then they took it out of their projects to fix.
Yeah,
and they did pretty good. It is a lot more focused the way it is now. They still have the top charts. You have to scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
For it, but
the top charts,
that's always a good place to look.
I love doing that too. I always look. What's the top app this week?
Yeah, the top free one, the top paid one.
Exactly. I would always go in there. The old App Store.
Oh wow, Dragon's. I thought it was Dragon's Lair. I got excited.
Oh yeah, the old Dragon's Lair. And then of course it's got all the icons at the bottom, so you can go to what's today. Then you have games, then the apps themselves where you can search. And of course, we've given this tip before. If you go under apps and you tap the picture of you, you can go in and see what was recently updated, and you can force the updates. So if they don't sit and run that, we talked about that before. That's where you actually, when you go into apps, that's where it shows the popular apps. Why is Epix now popular? I don't understand that. That network is not exciting to me.
There must be a show out there that we don't know about. But.
There must have. Yeah, people have been downloading it. So take another quicker look. Of course, the search button there. That's great to be able to search for your app if there's something you're looking for right away to install. But I just wanted to bring that up. I thought the App Store is very powerful and just gives you a lot of opportunities to being able to find what you're looking for as far as your apps go. Yep. You know what we're talking about here. All right, so let's kick into some tips, and what we can do is we have a couple of tips here, and then we got two apps we're going to talk about today, and then we'll wrap things up here. Of course, we know that your iPhone can instantly be turned into to a flashlight, right? And we know how to get to that, right? Maybe not. The way you get to the flashlight, of course, when you open up your phone before you use Face ID, if you're using a newer one, or Touch ID, there is a flashlight button that appears at the bottom left of the home screen before you unlock the phone. So you can tap that button, and it gives you the option of being able to use the flashlight. But you also can go to it into the control center, which of course on the Face ID phones, you just drag it from the top right, and it brings it down for you. So then you just tap the flashlight, and it just lights up. If you tap and hold the flashlight, it gives you the intensity, so you can make it as bright or turn it off right from holding on to it. So it is very powerful. And I seem to remember all those crazy apps that all these app developers came out with flashlight. Remember? And then of course I think one of them had malware or something in it.
Possibly. Yeah, I can remember that too.
So you also can tap. You also tap to turn it off. So again, for older iPhones, you scroll the control center from the bottom of the screen, and you can also, and there's also a way of actually setting up for notifications. You ever use this for accessibility?
I read the article and I didn't realize you could do that, and I might.
Yeah. I knew it could be done because I had one of the users I was supporting for years. Every time I would be in his office and somebody called him, the flashlight's lighting on and off because. Just to make sure he knows that someone's calling him, but cool, for hearing impaired, that does come in handy. So, I actually have a link to an iMore article on this tip, and it goes through all the details as far as how to take advantage of what the flashlight does. I think it's a great read, and actually this article came out a couple days ago, so it's very current. So. Actually, yesterday, as we record this. So, take a look at that. So we're always scouring the internet to find some good tips for you guys. And the last tip I wanted to talk about today, this is actually another tip I found. It's on LifeWire. How to add money to Apple Pay. Have you ever done this before? Adding cash to your Apple Pay cash card besides what you get from the Apple credit card?
I did when it first came out to test it, and then a couple people paid me through the Cash App at one point too. So, which
is really cool. They can actually add the Apple cash card into an iMessage.
Yeah.
Say here's $100. I've done that before.
Okay. So I think for this show we need to test this out and ask.
We're going to test this out, and then we're going to start asking donations. Okay, send me some cash.
Everybody send $10 to the host of the show. Through Apple Card. It works great. I mean, it works fine. It works. It's actually faster than PayPal and things like that. But it's. I think Apple started not killing it off, but I think they put it in the back burner when the card came out.
When the card came out, right?
Yeah. So, but it's still there, and that's how you get your free cash when you get the 2 or 3% when you use the card.
All right. Well, let's bring it to the home stretch here. Talk about two apps that one of them I found. Apparently, I didn't realize you were a huge fan of, because you just found out that when we started the show that I was going to talk about this. It's called Slice.
My son,
the pizza app.
Oh wow!
This is totally amazing. I love this app.
Changer. Yep,
it really is. I mean,
It's basically DoorDash for just pizza places.
Kind of what it is. And not every pizza place participates, I notice, because I go in here and I look at my local pizza place. Now, of course, in Chicago, Lou Malnati's. That's my favorite. Oh, God, I love Lou's.
But you'll find a lot of places that don't deliver will have it. The Slice app listed. So we have a couple of them here that don't deliver that are really good. It's their tomato pies.
And it says under more pizzerias to try, and then of course the one that's around the corner from me here, which I'm not a huge fan of, honestly. It says you can give them a call. So that's kind of cool because DoorDash or Grubhub or those would never do that. They wouldn't. They don't include. They just they're aggregating all pizza places, which is kind of cool. I really like that.
And sometimes, I don't know if you read the article, but sometimes they do it without the restaurant's permission too, and that they got caught. So a lot of
right, that was I think, was that Grubhub or one of those?
Might have been Grubhub, yeah. They were so basically they listed them as a place that they'll deliver, and essentially the Grubhub delivery people pick it up. But they don't say that. I don't know. It was a whole thing, but in any case, but it's fun. So we've done it, and they're actually Slice is really good at rewards too. So if you order enough pizza, which I guess my son and I have, my wife's
it's easy to do.
You get like $1, or you get free delivery or some things like that. So it works pretty well.
Yeah. Look, we tag team this and you ended up talking about the app more than I did, but that's okay because I downloaded it. I haven't or you had at least had the experience of ordering through it. I had not as of yet, but I just thought this was a great app
it's easy
to bring attention to everybody.
Easy, and it works. And I think they do Apple Pay too. They do. So when you order something, you could use Apple Pay to pay for it.
Yeah. So and then your app. Go ahead and tell us about your app. This app is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I play piano, and I bought myself last week it was like $90 on Amazon. It's just a MIDI keyboard. It doesn't have speakers. You plug in the MIDI through USB to a device, and so I've been playing around with it, and I plugged it into my Mac, and I use GarageBand. But then I'm like, you know what? I have an iPad Pro.
Why not?
With USB-C. So I plugged it right into the iPad Pro. Actually, I used a hub so I could power the thing and plug it in at the same time in the iPad Pro, and it actually worked better than the Mac in a lot of ways. It actually it was more responsive. It was easier to control. It didn't take up as much room, and it pretty much did everything the same thing the Mac did. You just got to learn a couple of play around with it to learn how to edit the tracks. It took me a while. I had to Google how to delete a track out if you made a track, and it's not super obvious in some of the ways. But once you get used to it, it's really it's really easy and fun. So that's my pick of the week, just to play with that. Actually, I'm thinking even with my phone, I think in my basement somewhere I have a lightning to USB connector somewhere.
Yeah, it's I actually edit this podcast with GarageBand on the Mac, but I need to look at that further because there is also another app out there called Ferrite that does editing. In fact, Jason Snell on Six Colors actually did a review of being able to edit his podcast using that. But for the purposes of what you were talking about, this is for music. GarageBand is amazing. For being free, it's just incredible for what it does.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's and it's more than music, like you said, it's podcasts. Some people make ringtones out of it. I mean, it does a lot of things. But it's kind of a gateway into the other one that think that's really expensive, and I think they still sell it. What's their more?
Logic Pro.
Is a Logic Pro?
Yeah.
So
that's ridiculous. That's like $300 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So I don't know if I'm
not
ready for that
unless you're a serious audio editor that you need to be doing that kind of stuff. Just like Final Cut Pro, which I did buy because I wanted to really learn it, and it's for video.
For video, yeah, that's sort of like the iMovie.
Yeah, that's the advanced version of what iMovie does. So
yeah,
exactly. a lot of pros actually use Final Cut Pro too. So all right, wow, that was a great show. A lot to talk about. I knew that we would get through all this, and
I thought it was a slow week. But there you go.
No, I came up with some good topics. I'm happy, and I hope everybody enjoyed everything we talked about. So for that, this is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio. And it's also iHeartRadio. And better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the places to listen to us are there. And I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Warren, where can they find you?
So you can find me mostly in the Facebook groups. The Mac to the Future Facebook group is where I hang out probably the most. You could also find me on Twitter @WSclarer. And I do the obviously this podcast with Mr. Dave Ginsburg that you're listening to, and Dave and I also do another podcast or a live cast.
Mac to the Future Go.
The Mac to the Future Go with Guy Searle, and we do that Wednesday nights at around 8:00 if we could get the technology working.
unless he's playing with something.
If he touches it, then it might explode before we go on. But it's a fun show. It's a fun group. So come join us if you hear it.
3,000 plus thriving members. So
we'll get in there.
It's a big Facebook group, and that's how I met Warren. And go check it out. So, all right, thanks everybody. Really appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk again soon.
Take care.
Bye bye.